Tatas were one of many Parsi families whose ancestors had settled in Navsari, a small town in Gujarat. The head of the family, Nasarwanji Tata, was a religious, thoughtful man. Jamshedji Tata, like his father, was formally inducted into the Zoroastrian faith at an early age. The ancient beliefs and principles of his forefathers worked in Jamshedji's blood all his life. Years into it, he made his family motto, good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Humta, hukta, huvrashta. Jamshedji was only 13 when he first entered the large, tumultuous town, which in the days to come, he would help turn into a great city. In 1864, the trade winds brought Bombay a cotton boom. Jamshedji visited Manchester. He marveled at the efficiency of the mills there, the splendor of the new machines. But its industrial slums were as black and sulphurous as a medieval vision of hell. Whole families never stopped working through the chilly days and nights of the north. Children scrambled for cotton fluff under roaring machines at a penny a day. It was appalling to be poor in England. After 4 years, Jamshedji returned home, convinced that the Industrial Revolution had to reach India if it was to prosper in the future. He wanted to build a cotton mill there, a modern mill, not the inhuman kind he'd seen in Manchester, but a mill where men could work as men should. Jamshedji inaugurated his most important enterprise yet, a great new mill complex, Empress Mills. These great structures are now just lifeless shells, but once they were a very important part of Jamshedji's success. The miserable conditions that had horrified Jamshedji in Manchester made him mindful of the welfare of his employees. He provided them with benefits denied to workers elsewhere in the world. Ventilation and humidifiers on the factory floor, accident insurance, a pension scheme, a provident fund, plus free dispensaries, maternity benefits, and even a creche for working mothers.
The Empress Mill started Provident Fund as far back as in 1901. Didn't exist in the best part of the world at that time. Maternity benefit, Empress Mills 1921. Didn't exist in most parts of the world. 8-hour working day is a Tata Steel gift to the industrial world. Even in England in those days, it was a 12-hour working day. Leave with pay is a Tata Steel concept as old as 1920. In England in 1920, if you didn't come to work, all that happened was you were not paid, whether you were absent for 1 day or 6 months. Leave with pay for rest and recuperation, as we call it in HR today, is a Tata Steel concept. Profit sharing bonus, we did not wait for red flags and black flags on our gates. We realized without people, there would be no profit. And we started sharing profit with our employees in 1934. It became a law in 1964. The emotional connect has been very strong with our people. And that's why J.R.D. Tata says, if I have any merit, it is getting on with individuals according to their ways and characteristics. At times it involves suppressing oneself. It is painful but necessary. To be a leader, you have to lead human beings with affection.
In 1887, he founded Tata & Sons. He brought in 2 young partners, his son Dorab and his wife's nephew, Ratanji, generally called R.D., to differentiate him from Jamshedji's younger son, Ratan. Still only 16, Ratan was to join the firm much later. Tata & Sons prospered, as did the city of Bombay. Jamshedji planned to generate enough hydroelectric power for the entire city. Nearly a century later, his dams and electric works still supply the power needs of the city he loved. Over the years, Jamshedji had visualized 3 great schemes: steel, electricity, and scientific education, 3 harbingers of national growth. The Institute of Science, which he tried doggedly to bring to birth during his lifetime, finally opened in Bangalore 7 years after his death.
This institute was Jamsetji Tata's favorite dream. In fact, it was so dear to him that he called it his third son. If you were to open Jamsetji Tata's will today, you will find that his will has been divided into three equal parts, one for each son and one part for the creation of this institute. Literally his third son. And then in that will he writes to his son saying that if this money is not sufficient, he would expect them to part with some of their money, but make sure that the Science Institute is created.
The names of many distinguished scientists, including a Nobel laureate, have been associated with it, and the progress of modern India linked to it. Jamsetji was dead, but his son Dorab and Charles Weld fulfilled another part of his dream. Construction work on the steel plant soon began. In 1912, the new factory produced its first ingot of steel. 2 years later, the First World War broke out. The Sakshi plants, working night and day, provided the British with hundreds of miles of steel rails for the troop trains on its eastern front. In 1919, after the Great War had ended, the Viceroy Lord Chelmsford made a historic speech. After thanking the Tatars for their contribution to the war effort, he spoke in particular of Jamsetji.
This place will see a change and will no longer be known as Sakchi, but be identified with the name of its founder, bearing down through the ages the name of the late Mr. Jamsetji Tata. Hereafter, this place will be known by the name of Jamshedpur.
Jamsetji died in May, and in July that year, a son was born to Suni and Adi. He was named Jahangir. His parents and close friends called him Jay. The rest of the world was to know him as J.R.D. A year before the start of Tata Airlines, Sir Dorab's wife, Lady Meherbai, had died of leukemia. The following year, Sir Dorab also passed away. He left all his wealth, right down to his pearl-studded tie-pin, in a trust named after him. It soon endowed India's first cancer hospital in Bombay. Jay became one of its trustees and guided the trust for more than 50 years. In 1938, 6 years after Sir Dorab's death, Jay succeeded Sir Nauroji Saklatwala as chairman of Tata Sons. He was 34. The Second World War started in 1939, only a year after Jay became chairman. It stranded a brilliant young Indian scientist from Cambridge, Homi Bhabha, in Bombay. Dazzled by Bhabha's ideas, Jay funded his research. The culmination was the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, the cradle of atomic energy in India. In the welter of tears, flames, and horror that followed partition, Jay's company, Tata Airlines, flew refugees from Pakistan to India, and vice versa. Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, was grateful to Jay for this. For Jay, human dignity was paramount, and the poverty that degraded it had to be fought. He used the weapon of the companies he headed to fight the war against poverty. He took Jamsetji's welfare schemes beyond the factories, into the villages in the vicinity. During Jay's 52 years as chairman, Tata's expanded unbelievably. They entered areas as diverse as trucks and locomotives, chemicals and tea production, hotels and software development. But the growth was never at the cost of the core values first established by Jamshedji. As Jay put it, if our philosophy was like that of some other companies, which do not stop at any means to attain their ends, we would have been twice as big as we are today. But he added, we would not want it any other way. In 1992, when he received the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian honor, his first reported reaction was, "Oh my God, why me?"
If you see the TATA logo, what is the first thought that comes to your mind? What does it say to you?
Our own Indian country.
An Indianness? What else?
Trust.
Trust. Yes.
Respect.
Respect.
Ethics.
Dependability.
Ethics.
Value systems.
Loyalty.
Loyalty. It's very interesting that wherever I have asked this question, the first response has always been trust. J.R.D. Tata listed these 6 attributes. The first one he said was holding under adverse conditions the line of integrity. Value systems. The second, putting the good of the nation first, which you called Indianness. Third, having a social conscience and taking on social responsibilities, commitment to society. The fourth, a fair deal for the workers and treating staff with dignity. Fifth, fair prices for customers. And finally, the pursuit of excellence. We have believed what is good for India is good for Tata. That's why if you were to analyze our investments, you will find more than 85-90% of our investments are in sectors of national economic significance. Whether it is steel, whether it is chemicals, whether it is power, whether it is IT, communications, transport, defense. This is Tata Chemicals, Mithapur, 1939. For the first 16 years, this company did not post a single rupee profit. So JRD and Mr. Darbari Seth called experts from abroad, and all of them pronounced the worst diagnosis that you can give a company. They said, "Sir, you are doing the wrong thing at the wrong time in the wrong place." What does it mean? Just close down this company, don't waste your money. When JRD heard, he said, "That's not the first time we have done that." Because everybody doubted steel, everybody doubted textiles, and we could make those companies successful. But then he went on to explain the real reason why he wanted to be there. He said, "Don't forget that when a Tata company starts a facility, the people around, the community around that facility starts expecting employment, better standard of living, roads, electricity, water supply, schools, colleges, hospitals. And I'm not going to disappoint that community. And I'm going to stay there." And he stayed on for emotional reasons, not for logic or economics. Today, as we meet, ladies and gentlemen, Tata Chemicals is the second largest soda ash producer in the world. It should have been closed down in the 50s. Study made by Morrison and Gibb. And in that 100 great modern lives of the past century, there are only 2 people from India who appear. One was Mahatma Gandhi and the other was Jamshedji Tata. It says probably no other family has ever contributed as much in the way of wise guidance, industrial development and advancing philanthropy to any country as the Tatas have to India, both before and since independence. As you can see, in the group purpose statement, it says our purpose in Tata is to improve the quality of life of the communities we serve. We do this through leadership in sectors of national economic significance. Our heritage of returning to society what we earn evokes trust among consumers, employees, shareholders and the community. The Tata name is a unique asset representing leadership with trust.
Under Jay, 80% of the profits of the parent company, Tata Sons, went to the Tata charitable trusts. These trusts in turn started vital institutions, the first of their kind in many different fields, enriching minds, adding to the quality of life.
The J.N. Tata Endowment for Higher Education of Indians, 1892. Gaurav Tata Trust, 1932. J.R.D. Tata Trust, 1944. When J.R.D. started this trust, he made a comment. He said, "I am starting this trust to ensure that I do not have too much money." Here, from the very basic, the beginnings of our story, the community has always received the priority attention that we have always given to the community. This is the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, TISS as it is popularly known. The way our business model has evolved is perhaps the only corporate model of its kind anywhere in the world. It's so unique. And this is where I want to share with you what the uniqueness of our model. We all know of Tata Sons. We prefer to call Tata Sons the parent company of the group. It determines the philosophical roots, the way we subscribe to values, and therefore Tata Sons, to my mind, should be referred to as a parent company of the group. It lays down the code of conduct, the way you conduct your business. It of course looks at your strategy and so on, but more importantly, I think it's the philosophical parent of the Tata Group. Now, who owns this company? Mr. Ratan Tata, less than 3%. Shapurji Palanji, close to 18%. Tata companies holding some small shareholding in Tata Sons. But this is where our model is unique. 67% or 2/3 of Tata Sons is held by Tata Trusts. So what happens? When Tata Sons declares its dividend, 67% of that goes to Tata Trusts. And from Tata Trusts, it goes to you and me. J.R.D. Tata called it the cycle of wealth 50 years ago. He said the wealth gathered by Jamsetji and his sons in half a century of industrial pioneering formed but a minute fraction of the amount by which they enriched the nation. The whole of that wealth is held in trust for the people and exclusively for their benefit. The cycle is thus complete. What came from the people has gone back to the people many times over. And that is the reason Witzel says, people speak of the Tata family and its legacy as if they are public property, and to some extent they are. Life is not always peaks or valleys. It's a combination of peaks and valleys. And I hit upon a professional valley, and I thought Tata had not treated me fairly. The anger of a young person. So Ratan Tata came to know about it, and he said, ask Don to see me, have a drink with me at my place that evening. Drinking scotch at chairman's cost is not always possible, so I immediately agreed to go and meet the chairman. So I went to Mr. Ratan Tata's house, simple house as he is. So we chatted for almost half an hour over that drink, and I felt much better. My anger was less and it had cooled down. And then I said, Ratan, thank you for your time. I'll take your leave. Ratan said, no, let me see you up to the door. I thought he was being extra polite, so he came up to the door of his flat. So I shook his hand for the second time. I said, Ratan, thank you very much. I'll take your leave. He said, no, let me see you up to the lift. So he came to the lift. He wouldn't allow me to open the door. He opened the two of them. And as I got in, I shook his hand for the fourth time. I said, Ratan, I'm fine. I'll take your leave. He said, no, let me see you up to the lobby. I said, you don't have to see me up to the lobby. I'm telling you I'm okay. He said, no, I want to see you up to the lobby. So he comes up to the lobby. At the lobby, I said, Ratan, I'm really fine. Thank you very much. I said, well, how do I get out of this? So Ratan says, no, let me see you up to the car. So the chairman walks with me up to the car. He says, can I have your keys? So I hand over the key to him. He opens the door for me. I take the seat. He hands over the key. I unwind the glass. I say, Ratan, thank you very much. I'll take your leave. So as I was driving from there, for almost 100 meters in my rear view mirror, I could see Ratan Tata just looking at that stupid car of mine. He had not moved this way or that. He was just staring at that car. And I believe in my heart that it was so because he was worried whether I was driving safely, whether I was pacified enough, or was I still angry with what I felt was unfair. And as I was driving home, I said to myself that if this was the healing process in my group, I was ready for 1,000 wounds. And therefore, I became, from a Tata employee, a Tata devotee, you may say so. And therefore, Ratan Tata says, I admire successful people. If success has been achieved through too much ruthlessness, then I may admire that person, but I cannot respect him. Ruthlessness is not the Tata style.
Ratan Tata passed out of Cathedral School in South Mumbai and did an advanced management program from Harvard Business School in 1975. He then started his career in the Tata Group in 1962. He first became a director at Nelco a consumer electronics company which he turned around. In 1981, Ratan Tata succeeded J.R.D. Tata as chairman of Tata Industries. When Ratan Tata took over finally as chairman in 1991, the move was heavily criticized as elitist and dynastic, but the growth of the group has proved detractors wrong. After a process of consolidation, Tata went on a global buying spree, which started with the acquisition of Tetley by Tata Tea in 2000, followed by deal-making across group companies, and unlocking of shareholder value through the listing of TCS in 2004. Then the total market capitalization of the group crossed the 100,000 crore mark, and the group acquired the highest market capitalization amongst all business houses in the country, comprising over 6% of the market capitalization of the Bombay Stock Exchange. And the revenues under Ratan Tata's leadership have grown from 49,000 crores to 475,000 crores over the last 10 years, with roughly half of this coming from abroad. From tea to steel and cars to hotels, technology to salt, brand Tata touches everyone's lives in more ways than one. The group contributes 3% to overall corporate tax in India and a whopping 5% to excise duty.
The tree that you see on the top, which is really the smaller part of the picture, is the edifice, what you see as Tata today. It has drawn its energy from these roots of 140 years time. The greenness of the leaves, the sweetness of its fruits, the strength of its trunk and branches draw their energy from these roots. Many Tata generations have either added or thickened an existing root. My concern for future will be that even if people can't do that, they should make sure that they don't become termites and eat into these roots, because then the tree would be weakened. Obviously, a Tata of 2113 will be different from 2013. But as Stephen Covey says, in a world of profound change, you need things that do not change. These thoughts that I have shared with you this evening, ladies and gentlemen, are those things that are eternally valid, valuable, and should never change.